Anselm's Monologium on the Being of God. Chapter 22. How it exists in every place and type and in none. How, then, shall these prepositions that are so necessary according to our exposition and so necessary according to our proof be reconciled? Perhaps the supreme letter exists in place and time in some such way that it is not prevented from so existing simultaneously as a whole in different places or times, that there are not more wholes than one, and that its age, which does not exist except as to eternity, is so distributed among past, present, and future. For to this law of space and time, nothing seems to be subject, except the beings which so exist in space or time that they do not transcend extent of place or duration of time. Hence, though of beings of this class it is with all truth asserted that one and the same whole cannot exist simultaneously as a whole in different places or times, in, in the case of those beings which are not of this class, no such conclusion is necessarily reached. For it seems to be rightly said, that place is predicable only of objects whose magnitude place contains by including it, and includes by containing it, and that time is predicable only of objects whose duration time ends by measuring it, and measures by ending it. Hence, to any being, to whose special extent or duration no bound can be set, either by space or time, no place or time is properly attributed. For, seeing that place does not act upon it as place, nor time as time, it is not irrational to say that no place is its place and no time its time. But what evidently has no place or time is doubtless by no means compelled to submit to the law of place or time. No law of place or time, then, in any way governs any nature, which no place or time limits by some kind of restraint. But what rational consideration can by any course of reasoning fail to reach the conclusion that the substance which creates and is supreme among all beings, which must be alien to and free from, and not the nature and law of all things, which itself created from nothing, is limited by no restraint of space or time, since more truly its power, which is nothing else than its essence, contains and includes under itself all these beings which it created. Is it not impudently foolish, too, to say either that space circumscribes the magnitude of truth, or that time measures its duration? Truth, which regards no greatness or smallness of spatial or temporal extent at all. Seeing then that this is the condition of place or time, that only whatever is limited by their bounds neither escapes the law of parts, such as place follows according to magnitude, or such a time submits to according to duration, nor can in any way be contained as a whole simultaneously by different places or times, but whatever is in no wise confined by the restraint of place or time is not compelled by any law of places or times to multiplicity of parts, nor is it prevented from being present as a whole and simultaneously in more places or times than one, seeing, I say, that this is the condition governing place or time, no doubt the supreme substance, which is encompassed by no restraint of place or time, is bound by none of their laws. Hence, since inevitable necessity requires that the Supreme Being, as a whole, be lacking to no place or time, and no law of place or time prevents it From being simultaneously in every place of time, it must be simultaneously present in every individual place of time. For, because it is present in one place, it is not therefore prevented from being present at the same time and in like manner in this or that other place of time. Nor, because it was, or is, or shall be, has any part of its eternity therefore vanished from the present with the past which no longer is, nor does it pass with the present which is for an instant, nor is it to come with the future which is not yet. For by no means is that being compelled or forbidden by a law or space or time to exist, or not to exist at any place or time, the being which, in no wise, includes its own existence in space or time. For when the Supreme Being is said to exist in space or time, although the form of expression regarding it and regarding local and temporal matters is the same because of the uses of language, yet the sense is different because of the unlikeness of the objects of discussion. For in the latter case the same expression has two meanings, namely, first, that these objects are present in those places and times in which they are said to be, and two, that they are contained by these places and times themselves. But in the case of the Supreme Being, the first sense only is intended, namely, that it is present, not that it is also contained. If the usage of language permitted, it would therefore seem to be more fittingly said that it exists with place or time than that it exists in place or time. For the statement, for the statement that a being exists in another implies that it is contained, more than does the statement that exists with another. In no place or time, then, is this being properly said to exist, since it is contained by no other at all, and yet it may be said, after a manner of its own, to be in every place or time, since whatever else exists is sustained by its presence, lest it elapse into nothing less. It exists in every place and time because it is absent from none, and exists in none because it has no place or time and has not taken to itself distinctions of place or time, neither here nor there, nor anymore, nor anywhere, nor then, nor now, nor at any time, nor does it exist in terms of this fleeting present in which we live, nor has it exist, nor will it exist in terms of past or future, since these are restricted to things finite and mutable, which it is not. And yet these properties of time and place can, in some sort, be ascribed to it, since it is just as truly present in all finite and mutable beings as if it were circumscribed by the same place and suffered change by the same times. We have sufficient evidence, then, to dispel the contradiction that threatened us as to how the highest being of all exists everywhere and always and nowhere and never, that is, in every place and time and in no place or time, according to the consistent truth of different senses of the terms employed.